Okay, so welcome back to a very late gold trade recap. I actually took this trade back on Wednesday and it's actually Friday, so this is a very late trade recap. But nonetheless, um, all trade recaps will be uploaded whether I win or lose a trade. So let's just get straight into it. Um, Firstly, I took this trade mainly based off the 1 hour time frame and a little bit of the 4 hour time frame, but I'll get into the 4 hour time frame a little bit later. First of all, focusing on the 1 hour time frame, we can see we had this 1 hour kind of a key level of support over here, right? So we can see price retested this level a couple of times before actually breaking through it. So we can see price over here retested it, then had a bounce up, then price came down once again, retested it, and then what did price do? Pushed right back up again. Then once again price came back down to that support zone and actually um and actually following that it got price got a clean breakthrough, as we can see over there. And I would just like to point out, this isn't very significant, but nonetheless, price did actually push towards this little 1 hour support zone over here. So we can see price broke clean through it, and then what happened, it retested the next support zone level, right? But as we can see, that wasn't really a or let me rather rephrase it, rather by saying sellers didn't have very much momentum following the break of the zone, right? So even though we retested this, the following 1 hour support zone, there wasn't much momentum to further break it and push further to the downside, right? So with that being said, price broke through it, then price retested the previous support zone, which just got broken through, which now becomes support. And we can see that price did in fact, just wander around there for a little bit before actually proceeding to break back once again through that resistance zone, which now once again becomes support, right? So I know that's might be a little bit confusing, but this was the support zone. Price broke through it to the next level of support. Then this level now becomes obviously a resistance. Then price pushed up to retest it. Sellers could not push price back towards the support zone, and price actually proceeded to continue breaking through it, the resistance zone, which then again became support, right? So with that being said, price pushed into it as resistance, right? Pushed into it as resistance, hovered around there for a little bit, and then proceeded to break back above it once again. And we got a clean breakthrough it as well. So now the zone becomes once again support. Now once again becomes a 1 hour support zone, right? So even though we got a break back above, and yeah, even though we got a break back above, it would still have been unwise to just enter purely off of this massive 1 hour bullish candle, purely based on the fact that price could have just done this, could have broken through it, and then bam, price could have just broken back below it again, essentially being a fake out, or essentially being a liquidity sweep on the higher time frames, right? So I couldn't just enter based on the breakthrough, because like I said, price could have broken through and then swept whatever liquidity, being a fake out, whatever, right? But as I mentioned before, on the 4 hour, we can see this was the 4-hour candle that this over here was the 4-hour candle that broke through that the resistance zone, right? So with that being said, look at this. With the 4-hour break back through, we can also see what happened. Just put this a little bit higher that you guys can see. So what happened? We actually get a 4-hour. We actually get with that breakthrough. With this breakthrough, the zone, the resistance zone, we get a 4-hour break of structure to the upside, right? As I have just indicated with this little red line. So we get a 4-hour break of. We get number one, a breakthrough the resistance zone, which became support again, plus we get a 4-hour break of structure back to the upside. So that's telling me, okay, even though price broke through, we got now another confirmation, possibly that buyers are stepping back in to take a little bit more control and potentially send price back to those previous all-time highs. We get the 4-hour break of structure. Still, even with that being said, even with the 4-hour break of structure, I couldn't just have entered, right? Because we did not, we broke through it, yes, but we did not, and we broke 4-hour structure to the upside, but we did not get a retest of the now support zone, right? So going back onto the 1 hour, if I had entered straight off this candle on the break of that candle, my risk reward would have been horrible, number one. Number two, I would have essentially have been in drawdown because of being too impatient and not waiting for the retest, right? So this is why as a trader you have to be patient. You have to wait for your setups. You have to wait for your confluences to get hit, because what happens? Price breaks, pushes a little higher, and then only afterwards what happens? Price pushes back down towards the zone, and then finally what happens? We get a retest of that, once again, 1 hour support zone. So then you can start, only then I started actually looking for entries, right? Only then I started looking for entries. And then what also I noticed, and not everyone would agree with us, but also on the 1 hour, which is a higher time frame, right? So on the 1 hour, which is a higher time frame, I also marked out this 1 hour. This might not be 100% accurate, but nonetheless. So I also marked out this. Let me just try to make this. Okay, let's just go with that. It's not going to be 100% accurate. But anyhow, I also marked out this 1 hour little trend line. So as we can see, we have the first touch over there, second touch over there, and then the third touch over there, right? First touch, second touch, third touch over there. So with that being said, we have 3 touches on the trend line, right? So with that being said, normally what I like to look for of a third touch on a trend line, depending whether either taking buys or sells from a resistance zone or a support zone, whatever that may be, I usually like to wait for an engulfing candle, so a bullish engulfing candle to the upside if I'm looking for buys off of the trend line and support zone, or a bearish engulfing candle from the resistance and the descending trend line, you understand, on the third touch. But as you can see over here with that bullish candle, it's not an engulfing candle obviously, but it was a good sign, um, or rather it was a good rejection to the upside from that trend line, off the third touch of that trend line, and off the 1 hour support zone. So even though it wasn't an engulfing candle, which I would have preferred, it still was a nice sized bullish candle to the upside that showed me, okay, price, we got a nice push down into the support zone, but now price is still rejecting it, right? Price is still rejecting that support zone and that trend line. So it is showing me, okay, there's a good possibility now that price is going to push higher, and that bulls are actually taking control, and that the bears didn't actually have that much momentum, right? So like I said, there was no bullish engulfing candle, which I would have preferred, but it's still but this candle still was good enough for me. So the 3 confluences that I used didn't actually bother with any liquidity sweeps this time. It was simply just a break and retest on the 1 hour, plus the 4 hour break of structure to the upside, plus the bounce, the third touch and the bounce from the trend line and support zone. So like I said at the beginning, it was a simple trade entry execution, and just to show you guys where I got in, it was basically immediately following the bullish candle. Immediately following it, I took my entry, and my stop loss was just a tad bit below the 1 hour support zone, and my TP was all the way up here, targeting somewhere around these highs up here, targeting these highs up there. So also one thing I would like to note is this was an okay risk to reward, but I am kind of kicking myself because, as you guys can see, price pushed drastically higher to the upside following actually my entry. So I got actually a very good entry considering I was trading gold. So got a considerably good entry. I'm not complaining because my TP got hit fairly quickly, but my initial thought process was I was just going to trail my stop deeper into profits the higher price pushed up. But I did also have a target that I wanted to get hit. So once that target got hit, I didn't also want to be greedy, so I just decided to close the trade. But I was kind of kicking myself because, as I said, look how aggressively price pushed to the upside. But it's also, as a trader, it's one of those things where if you have an initial target, sticking with your target after it gets hit and you getting out of the trade, and also following your gut and trusting yourself on when to close the trade also is going to benefit you more in the long run. Although, yes, I would have made profits now in the short term, but I know psychological wise and also risk management wise, sticking to a target that I initially made for myself and not being greedy, secondly, which is a big thing, is going to benefit me more in the future and will potentially provide me with more and better consistent profits in the future. So yeah, I was a little bummed that I didn't hold the trade and just trail my stop, deeper and deeper into profits. But like I said, my TP got hit very, very quickly, considering I took the trade on the higher time frames and didn't actually have to wait days, or even I didn't actually even have to wait a full day, just a few hours, and it got hit. So yeah, it was a good trade, simple entry execution and simple exit, good trade overall. And yeah, even though this is a late recap of the trade, I still wanted to take you guys through my thought process, why I entered the trade, why I exited the trade, and yeah, this was a trade recap of how I won my gold trade.